Hello everyone, welcome to CareersTalk. I'm Suran Sharma, an agile consultant, coach and mentor based in Netherlands. And you may have seen in the thumbnail, today we will be diving into the topic of agile leadership interview questions asked to the senior candidate across different companies shared by our WhatsApp group communities. So whether you are a project manager, program manager, scrum master, or in any other role, these questions are relevant for anyone aiming the leadership position. So stay focused and watch the complete session till the end. And to help us, we have Rituraj Patil. With 15 years of extensive experience throughout his career, he has been a product program manager as well as a guest lecturer at various Indian educational institutes like IIM, IITs, VIT, Symbiosis, and many others. He's also the author of the book Mastering Advanced Scrum and holds 7 patents. So, friends, before we begin, if you are new to our channel, Careers Talk, please do subscribe as we have tons of valuable content for you. And if you enjoy the session, which you will definitely, I know for sure, please hit that like button. So without further delay, let's start. Welcome, Rituraj. Thank you for joining us today. Rituraj, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sunand. I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation because I know that you were chasing me since last year. And then after almost a year, finally we could make it. And I'm really happy about it so that I can be a part of your initiative where you are impacting so many lives. I have watched so many videos on your YouTube channel, and then it has also benefited me to know about what are the different perspectives and viewpoints coming out from various people across the globe, all the agile practitioners, all the agilists, change agents, and change catalysts. So, yeah, I think today also we will be diving deep into certain things related to agile leadership. And I hope that it will really help your audience
Our
to make
audience
a
now.
change. Our audience now. Yeah, exactly. To make a change and then, yeah, to be more agile always. Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank you,
looking
Raj.
forward to, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if you allow, shall we start?
Yeah, sure. Let's start. Yeah.
Okay. So the very first question is, can you share a personal experience that shaped your understanding of leadership, and how has it influenced your definition of what a leader is? So yeah, Raj, over to you.
Superb. A great question. So certainly there are so many experiences, but if I can think of a specific one which is more appealing and which has significantly shaped up my understanding of leadership, occurred especially early in my career when I was leading a team on a critical IT product in one of my previous organizations. So again, typical story, we were facing tight timelines, and then there were complex technical challenges as well, and it was a bit high pressure situation. So during this particular phase or during a particular major release of that particular product, I noticed that the team morale was starting to decline and the productivity was also getting suffered. So rather than resorting to the micromanagement or command and control kind of tactics, I had to make a conscious decision to adopt a more empathetic and supportive leadership kind of an approach. So I took some time to meet one on one with each of the team members to understand their concerns, their problems, listen to their own ideas, and offer some support in any way I could. I also remember that I also made an effort to communicate openly and transparently within the team, keeping everyone informed about the release progress, the release process, and any major changes into the direction. So, through this experience, I think I learned effective leadership, irrespective of wherever you are at, be it at team level, program level, portfolio level. It requires more than just technical expertise. It's all about understanding the human side of the technology first, recognizing that behind every initiative, there is a person, there is a group of people, which we call it as team. And everyone who is a part of that team, they have their unique strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. So this particular experience really influenced my definition of a leader as someone who not only possesses technical proficiency but also demonstrates empathy, communication skills, the ability to inspire others, the ability to motivate others. And for me, what I believe is a true leader is someone who fosters a culture of collaboration, co-creation, trust, empathy, humility, maybe continuous learning, continuous improvement culture, and who basically empowers their team to achieve their full potentials to drive continuous innovation, continuous experimentation within the organization. Uh, I still remember there is a wonderful quote by Jeff Bezos where he had said it once that if you double the number of experiments you do per year, you are going to double your inventiveness within your organization. So I think this is what I can summarize. Yeah, I think you got it, right?
Wonderful. Great, Raj. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Okay. Shall we move on?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So, next one is, in your opinion, what are the core values that define a successful leader? And
Mhm.
how have you demonstrated these values in your leadership journey? Yeah, Raj.
Okay, leadership values. So honestly speaking, there are so many values based upon my personal belief and based upon what I have seen with some of the amazing leaders around me in my 14, 15 years of professional experience in IT so far. However, there are a few most important core values which I can certainly think of and I can share it with you. I believe that the most important value is integrity. That's my personal favorite one, where I always feel that a successful leader always upholds honesty, transparency, and ethical behavior in all the actions. So, doing the right thing, even if no one is watching you, is the dictionary definition of integrity. But it really helps you to form a kind of foundation of trust within your team and even for your stakeholders. And throughout my career, I have always tried my best to consistently maintain honesty and transparency in all my communications, in all my interactions with my team members, with my stakeholders, with my end users, from customer point of view, from business point of view, even when we have any kind of difficult decisions to make. Then comes maybe empathy, where understanding and empathizing with team members and stakeholders' perspectives really helps us to foster a supportive environment, and it also enables effective communication and collaboration among the teams, among the team members. And I always try to make an effort to understand the perspectives and challenges of my team members and stakeholders, so that I can offer them the right kind of support and guidance where it is needed. And it also helps me to create a culture where everyone feels valued and heard. Um, I still remember in one of my teams in past, there was a fresh graduate who was trying to challenge the status quo, and then we allowed that person to change certain ways of working within a team. So that kind of open environment has to be there within your teams where each person's opinion should count. I think vision could be also one more core value where you need to have, as a successful leader, you need to have a clear, proper vision. You need to communicate your vision effectively within your team members, and that vision always needs to align with your organizational objectives. I'm not going to get into any framework such as OKRs or ABM, but I always try to articulate a proper vision for the team's objectives and broader goals of the organization, and how we can combine the top down and bottom up approach of aligning the things. I think resilience could be also one more value, because today's world is no more a VUCA world, it is a Bani world, right? So that's a new buzzword which is coming in, where now we call today's world as more brittle, more anxious, more non-linear and incomprehensible world. And in this world, it is really important for leaders to remain resilient, to remain optimistic. And that also calls out maybe two other values, which are adaptability and responsibility, along with accountability. So as a successful leader, you need to be responsible, you need to be accountable for your own actions as well as your team's actions and decisions. So that also helps us to build certainly trust and credibility. And adaptability could be also one more value, where you need to be flexible, you need to be agile, you need to be open to new ideas, you need to be able to pivot through your strategies wherever it is necessary. I have read one story about Samsung. I think Samsung, in their business model, they pivoted literally 13 times in the past. You can Google about it. And I was really surprised to see how they pivoted their business models and then how they ended up into the electronics business right now. So I think I'm always open to new ideas, feedback, willing to adapt to maybe new strategies, approaches. Uh, I hope you might have read the book by Daniel Pink. The book's name is Drive, where he talks about purpose, autonomy, and mastery. So I think when it comes to and empowerment and enablement, I think these two are also important values for successful leaders to have, where they can try to delegate authority, responsibilities to the team members, where it helps them to empower, to take the ownership, and it helps them to contribute to the team's success. And then one of the most important values which I have missed earlier is humility, right? Humility involves recognizing one's own limitations, acknowledging contributions of others, and being open to learning or growth. Sometimes we as leaders, we don't know everything, and it's okay to maybe ask some right questions, seek some inputs from team members who may have more valuable insights or expertise than you. Giving credit to others for their contributions and for their successes is also more important when it comes to humility. So I think in a nutshell, by embodying these core values, I always strive and try to lead by influence and create an environment where my teams can thrive, teams can innovate, experiment, achieve their full potential to be the best versions of themselves. Got it? So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that detailed answer, Raj.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Mhm.
So, reflecting on your leadership experience, so can you share a specific instance where you faced failure? Because most of the people are, they don't talk about failure. So, what valuable lessons did you extract from that experience, and how have those lessons influenced your leadership approach so far? So, that's for you, Raj.
Another great question, Sunan. So before I get into my answer, which I can think of, I can share one story, which is a fascinating story. I have seen a particular press conference where Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has shared his own experience, where he shared this story with all of us. Ex-ISRO chairman, Indian Space Research Organization chairman, Dr. Satish Dhawan, he accepted the responsibility for Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's failure back in 1980s, somewhere around 1980s, I guess, when Dr. Kalam headed the SLV-3 mission, satellite launch vehicle launch mission, which got failed. Okay, it fell into the Bay of Bengal. And Dr. Satish Dhawan reposed faith in his own team and took the blame on himself, right? So when they failed, there was a press conference, and then he took the blame. He attended the press conference. He took all the questions. Whereas in the next attempt, when they got succeeded, he asked Dr. APJ Kalam, Abdul Kalam, to attend that press conference, and then he gave all the credit to the team, right? So I think as a leader, failures are inevitable. The way you look at those failures and then you try to learn out of those failures, not to make the mistakes again and again, that is the most important thing. And if I think of a classical failure story which I had faced, there were so many stories. There are so many stories, but I think there was one instance where we faced a failure during a product development effort as a part of a huge program. Even Google was also involved in it, Google Cloud team. I was leading multiple product engineering and product program teams in who were a part of that particular program, where we encountered, I think, significant delays, and ultimately we missed a crucial timeline. So as a leader of the program, I had to take the responsibility for the failure, and I had to reflect upon what went wrong. So there were multiple lessons. I could remember a few of them. One of the main reasons was there was a breakdown in the communication among the team members across multiple teams who were involved into that program. Important information was not effectively getting communicated, and it was leading to a kind of misunderstandings and delays. So I learned the importance of clear open communication channels within the teams. Dependency maps was something which we created as a solution, which we started to use to identify the dependencies, deciding the owners, timelines to resolve them, and agree with the overall dependency resolution way of working across the teams. I think we also were missing a robust contingency plan in place to address any of the unforeseen challenges or any of the significant delays. And as a result, I think we were unprepared when issues arose, causing further setbacks. And I learned the importance of risk management and having backup plans in place. I also realized that I had overlooked some of the underlying team dynamics also, and that was contributing into the inefficiencies and conflicts. So I think building a cohesive and collaborative team culture is really crucial for our success. And I learned that importance of addressing team dynamics early on and fostering a positive working environment is something we should always look out for. And despite of encountering obstacles along the way, I failed to adopt our strategies and approaches to meet the changing circumstances. So I also learned the importance of flexibility and agility in leadership for the first time, while being willing to pivot and adjust the course when it was necessary. So I think these lessons have significantly influenced my leadership approach. I now prioritize clear and transparent communication within my teams, ensuring that everyone is on the same page, everyone is aware of their own roles and responsibilities. I also place a greater emphasis on proactive dependency and risk management, and it helps us to anticipate potential challenges and develop the contingency plans to address them. Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. Okay, wonderful, Raj. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on. So, leading a team through a challenging time require, a lot of motivation. So, can you share some of your specific actions which you have taken to motivate your team during the difficult times? So, for example, during the layoffs and uncertain times. So,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, Raj.
Yeah. So I think motivating a team during difficult times is really crucial for maintaining morale and productivity, ultimately achieving the success. And for me, organizations are only working for two things: either to get better at return on investment or to do some kind of cost saving, right? Uh, Based upon my personal experience, I can definitely share some strategies and specific actions which I have taken to motivate my team. So during challenging periods, I prioritize open and transparent communication within my team. I share relevant information about the situation, why something is happening, what could be the consequences, what's in it for you, including all the challenges which we are facing, and eventually discussing our plans to overcome any of the problems, right? So this really helps to build the trust, and it also ensures that everyone is on the same page. I always work with my teams to set clear, achievable goals and expectations, even during difficult times. So, having a clear, shared understanding of what needs to be accomplished, it helps everyone to be focused, to be motivated, even when the obstacles arise. I always try to make a point to recognize and celebrate the achievements and progress made by my team, no matter how much small or how much big it is. So celebrating achievements is one more thing which really helps your teams to boost their morale, which also reinforces positive behavior even in the face of challenges. And I always like to ensure that my team has got the right support and resources they need to succeed, especially during the difficult times. So whether it is an additional training, whether it is additional coaching, mentoring, teaching, facilitation, guidance, help, support, or any access to necessary tools or resources, I always prioritize providing them wherever the support is necessary to help them to overcome the challenges. And as I mentioned previously about Daniel Pink's book Drive, which talks about autonomy, uh, I empower my team members to give them the right set of autonomy, and this helps them to own their own work, right? Self-organizing teams, self-managing teams, cross-functional teams, the basic concepts which are coming out from Scrum. You can certainly correlate all of this to that. And I always trust them to make their own decisions, to take their initiatives on their own, which always fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility that can be incredibly motivating even during the difficult times. And if you give the right amount of support, encouragement, empathy during the difficult periods, whether it's lending a listening ear or providing words for encouragement or offering assistance when needed, uh, I think it always results into positive outcomes. So I think by implementing some of these strategies and taking some of the specific actions to motivate my teams during the challenging times, it really helps me and my teams to maintain their morale, to keep their productivity high, and ultimately it helps me to lead my team to success even in the face of adversity. Yeah.
Great, Raj. Just a
Mhm.
follow-up question, kind of follow-up question on this. So, delivering a bad news is, is important aspect of a leadership. So, how do you approach communicating unfavorable information to your team? While maintaining the morale and as you mentioned, fostering a positive working environment. Raj.
Good question. I liked it. Communicating bad news to your teams can indeed be challenging, but it's an essential aspect of leadership. You cannot simply avoid it. So, if I would like to say something about this, then when delivering bad news, honesty is always the key, right? I believe that in providing clear and accurate information to my teams, avoiding any kind of sugarcoating or withholding important details is the most important thing. Transparency builds trust, credibility, even in difficult situations. So it's really essential to provide context and explanation along with the bad news, helping the teams to understand the reasons behind the decision or situation can make it easier to them to process and accept the news. And this also demonstrates a respect for their own intelligence and understanding. So I approach delivering bad news with full of empathy, full of compassion, recognizing that it may be difficult for team members to hear. I take time to acknowledge their feelings and validate their concerns, showing that I understand and care about their well-being, because in today's times, well-being is the most important thing, where HR people are also struggling to make it uh, constant. And while a bad news can be disheartening sometimes, I, as a leader, always try my best to strive to offer the required support and solutions to help my team members to navigate through the situation. So that is where I think I make it clear to them that we are in this situation together, and I'm committed to help you to overcome any challenges that may face, right? So I'm a big fan of all the five Scrum values, especially openness, courage, and respect. And I always encourage open dialogue and communication following the delivery of bad news. I make myself available to answer their questions, to address their concerns, to listen to their feedback. And this overall fosters a sense of trust and transparency, which really empowers the team members to voice their thoughts and feelings. So I like to lead by influence, demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and determination. And overall, delivering a bad news is never an easy job, but by approaching it with honesty, with empathy, and support, I always try to aim to maintain morale and foster a positive working environment within my teams, even during challenging times, if any.
Great, Raj. Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Okay, so as you're talking about challenges, so from your experience, so what do you consider the most challenging aspect of being a leader, and how do you navigate through that kind of challenges, Raj?
Another wonderful question. So there are so many things to talk about, but I think the most challenging thing the most challenging aspect of being a leader is managing and balancing the needs and expectations and dynamics of diverse individuals around you, right? You are a part of an organization where you are dealing with your peers, with your subordinates, with your senior leadership, with your executives, with your customer representatives, and each individual brings their own unique strengths, weaknesses, communication styles, their own personalities to the table, and which can create complexities and conflicts within the overall dynamic of your teams. So what I feel is navigating this challenge requires a thorough combination of, again, empathy, trust, communication, and adaptability. And if you ask me, how do I approach it? Number one, maybe I take time to understand each individual's strengths, weaknesses, motivations, and working styles. I don't know, have you seen one of the recent talks from one of the senior leaders from our industry, only Mr. Ajay Kavra? He spoke at Agile Nepal conference, and then he also talked about this particular topic where he talked about different personality types and how to deal with those different personality types while being into a leadership zone. So by recognizing and respecting their individual differences, the differences which are coming from those different personality types, I need to tailor my approach to effectively communicate, collaborate, and support each one of them. Number two could be, I always try to do my best to create a culture of inclusivity and collaboration within my teams where every voice needs to be heard. We need to encourage open dialogues. We need to share ideas. We need to foster a sense of belonging. I like the full form of this keyword called as team, where they say that team is together, everyone achieves more, right? So a sense of belonging has to be there, and that's really crucial for your team dynamic. Trust is also one more important thing, where I, as a leader, I need to invest my time, I need to invest my effort in building trust and strong relationships, to build those strong relationships within my team members, which need to demonstrate integrity, transparency, reliability in my actions and decisions. Uh, Fourth one could be clear and transparent communication, which is always essential for navigating the complexities of team dynamics. So I might end up into prioritizing some open communication channels, active listening, regular feedback sessions to ensure that everyone is on the same page and everyone feels heard. And comes the conflict. When it comes to the conflict, they are also inevitable in any team setting, but how they are managed, it can make a significant difference in the team morale and productivity. So I approach conflict resolution with empathy, fairness, objectivity. Constructive conflicts are always good for any team and organization. And the last one could be leadership is a journey of continuous learning and adaptation. So I remain open to feedback and feed forward to actively seek opportunities for self-improvement and adapt my leadership approach based on the evolving needs and dynamics of my teams. So navigating the complexities of team dynamics and balancing the diverse needs of team members is undoubtedly challenging. Even I have faced these problems so many times in the past, but you need to continuously prioritize empathy, communication, trust, continuous learning. And I always try my best to create a positive and supportive environment where my teams can thrive through all these challenges.
Wonderful. Great, Raj.
Thanks,
You're just nailing it. Every your answer is just wonderful. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so as a leader, how do you define and measure success for yourself and your team? I think is very important. And if you can provide some examples, or some achievements that you can consider that is an indicative of a successful leadership, that will be really wonderful. Or some matrices or anything which you want to just share, Raj.
Mhm. So again, it's a tricky one. It's not that straightforward, but I'm always an outcome-oriented person. I always prioritize outcome over outputs, right? Uh, there is a classic meme which talks about how many times you have hit the business goal versus how many times you have tried to get into a situation where you are just measuring some output just for the sake of measuring it and ignoring the value delivery side of the things. So while defining and measuring success for myself as well as for my teams, there are several factors which I think we need to consider. And it's not simple and straightforward thing. Success is measured by the accomplishment of goals and objectives that really align with your own organization's mission and vision. So it all starts from there. What is your ultimate vision? What is your mission statement? How you are defining your strategy, and then how you end up creating some goals. You might have OKRs, you might have KPIs, you might have MBOs and all those buzzwords, but basically these goals always need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, realistic, time bound, smart objectives, right? So success can be also measured by development and growth of individuals. Because when it comes to people management, that is the most important thing, where you need to keep your employee happiness index always high, right? So this can include professional development opportunities, learning, unlearning, relearning, skills enhancement, career advancement for individuals to keep them motivated always. Success can be also reflected into the satisfaction and loyalty of your customers or stakeholders. So that's the most important thing, and which can be measured through feedback, which can be measured through surveys, reviews. You need to keep on communicating with your customers every day and day out, right? And if I would like to substitute that value of customer collaboration over contract negotiation from Agile Manifesto, I will call it as customer co-creation over contract negotiation. You need to co-create things with your customers. Gone are the days where you are simply collaborating with your customers. So I think EBM framework could be also one of the best frameworks which I keep on using since last few years, which always talks about outcome-oriented value delivery metrics in the 4 quadrants, right? Current value, then undesired value, time to market, ability to innovate, right? Success also involves fostering a culture of innovation, creativity, adaptability within the teams. So whether you are implementing new ideas, processes, technologies, hackathons, all those things will really help you to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and the happiness index of your employees as well as customer. Success is also demonstrated by high levels of employee engagement and the overall morale within the teams. So if you're not doing a quick employee happiness index morale check during your retrospectives, uh, like I don't know whether you are doing a justice to your retrospectives or not. And when it comes to examples of goals or achievements which can be considered indicative for successful leadership, I would like to say that successfully leading a team to achieve and exceed performance and value delivery, you can make use of EBM based customer satisfaction metrics. Implementing initiatives to improve team efficiency, maybe productivity, quality, resulting into the measuring improvements in the key performance indicators. So KPIs can be also used in there. Developing and mentoring team members is also important, where they can reach their full potential, leading to promotions, their career advancements, and increased job satisfaction, and to reduce the number or percentage of attrition, right? Because stable teams is also you need. A scrum team has to be small, a scrum team has to be stable, a scrum team has to be cross-functional, self-organizing, self-managing. So that stability part, where if people keep on coming in and going out, you lose the magic of collaboration. And I think building strong relationships with customers, end users, stakeholders, resulting into the increased, improved, or enhanced customer satisfaction, loyalty, retention is also one more important thing. At the end of the day, I think creating a positive and inclusive work environment where team members feel valued, respected, again, Scrum value respect, and motivated to perform at their best. So this is what I can think about. And by setting clear goals, measuring the progress, and celebrating achievements, I always try to continuously improve and drive success for myself and for my team. Got it.
Wonderful, Raj. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on. So, yeah, so constructive criticism is critical for personal and professional growth. So, can you share any past instances where you receive constructive criticism, and maybe you can also elaborate how you have incorporated into your leadership style those kind of feedbacks, Raj.
Okay, constructive criticism. First of all, thanks for asking me this question, because this topic of constructive criticism is my all-time favorite topic. And I can keep talking about it for hours, because constructive criticism has
Yes,
played a significant role.
we
Sorry.
will take we will take one more session specifically on this later
Sure,
on.
sure, sure, sure,
uh,
sure. But why this topic is really important for me is nothing but it has played a significant role in my personal as well as professional growth as a leader. So, as a leader, when I think of constructive criticism, I always think about better alternatives, better options for which someone else is criticizing you, or maybe you are criticizing someone else, right? And while solving any problems as an agile practitioner, I always keep on telling my teams that it is not you versus me, it is you and me versus the problem which we are trying to solve, right? Who has the better alternative, who has the better option to solve this particular problem? It's not at all you versus me. We are basically trying to solve a problem, and then who has the better alternative to solve that problem? And that might create a kind of a conflict, but we are doing a constructive conflict. We are getting into that zone of a constructive conflict. So now, to answer your question, yes, there were so many instances where I have received constructive criticism, and how I incorporated it into my leadership style is, early in my career, I have received a feedback that my communication style could sometimes come across as too direct, which could impact the team morale and motivation. So while initially this feedback was really difficult for me to hear, I recognized its importance in improving my leadership effectiveness. So to address this, I made an effort to enhance my communication skills by being more mindful of my tone, the delivery of what I'm talking, right? The tone, the content, the delivery, the selection of words when communicating with my teams, when communicating with executives, when communicating with my peers, with leadership team members, ensuring that I need to convey empathy and understanding. So I had to literally polish my skills of active listening, to actively listen to my team members, to my peers, to my senior stakeholders, considering their perspectives and concerns, acknowledging their inputs. So I started with providing more context and explanation when delivering instructions or maybe feedback, to ensure that there is always a clarity, there is always a shared understanding. I also started seeking feedback from my teams on my communication style, making adjustments based upon their inputs. And by incorporating this feedback into my unique leadership style, which is a combination of situational, servant, and selfless leadership, even we can discuss and have a separate session on this particular topic of leadership style, a combination of situational, servant, and selfless leadership. I was able to improve my communication skills and foster a more positive and supportive work environment for my teams. I also remember another occasion where I had received a feedback that I was not effectively delegating authority and responsibilities to my team members. I come from tech background. I can still code. I'm a hands-on person. So I always end up poking developers to ask them some powerful questions, open-ended questions, and challenge the status quo. And initially, I didn't realize it, but it was leading to more of bottlenecks and inefficiencies in our workflow. So this feedback was really important feedback in terms of constructive criticism for me, which highlighted the need for me to trust my team members more and empower them to take the ownership of their own work, right? So to address this, again, I clearly defined roles and responsibilities for each team member, ensuring that everyone has understood their areas of accountability. I also started to delegate the tasks and decision-making authority to individuals based upon their expertise, based upon their capabilities, empowering them to take the initiatives and ownership. And then still being there, there is a theory called as acting as a dolphin versus acting as a submarine. Dolphin goes into the water and again comes back. A submarine never comes back. So finding that just enough is the most important thing, where it should not be like too much or too less. So I think by incorporating this feedback and delegating authority more effectively, I was able to streamline the workflow, improve the efficiency, I was also able to foster a greater sense of trust and autonomy within my team. So overall, I think receiving constructive criticism has been really instrumental in my growth as a leader. And by actively listening to feedback, being open to self improvement, that is the most important thing. You need to be self aware of your leadership style, and you need to be open to self improvement, and then you need to make the changes based upon that feedback. It's all about the concept of empiricism, right? Inspect, adapt. And that all helps you to become a more effective and empathetic leader. I hope I answered your question.
Wonderful, yeah. Great, Raj.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about conflict. So yeah, I mean, resolving conflict is an important certain part of leadership. So can you share any specific example of a conflict which you have successfully resolved within your team in the past, and maybe how you approach that particular conflict? So that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember one specific example of conflict which I won't forget in my life. And I had successfully resolved it within one of my teams involving differing opinions on a direction of team. So two team members had strong conflicting ideas about how to approach a key aspect of enhancements of certain product features, leading to disagreements within the team. And to achieve a positive outcome and to resolve the conflict, I had to take a few steps. And literally, the words which were getting used in terms of the email communication, those were harsh, right? One simply cannot accept those words. So that level of conflict was getting in there. And when I got in there, I had to begin by facilitating an open and respectful dialogue between the team members involved into the conflict. I also tried to encourage each person to share their perspectives, ensuring that they felt heard and understood. I also asked them to come up with pros and cons considering their individual thought processes, because again, the same analogy, it's not this person versus that person, it's this person and that person and me being a facilitator who is going to resolve that conflict, how we together can act as a team and then resolve this problem. So then I had to work with the team to identify the common goals and objectives for the team, and then how we can fit in those pros and cons, and what is the best suitable candidate approach if we need to go forward with one of those two approaches which were getting suggested by two people in there. So by focusing upon the interests and objectives, we were able to find a common ground, and we were able to establish a common shared vision for the team's success. So I encourage the team members to explore potential compromises, collaborate on finding a solution that incorporated elements of both the ideas. And this involved brainstorming of creative solutions and considering the alternative approaches that could satisfy both the parties. So I had to act as a mediator, where I had to facilitate discussions and negotiations between the team members, helping them to find the common ground. That's the most important thing. You look at the pros and cons, you look at what suits you well, and then you need to find the common ground and reach a mutually acceptable solution. So I had to encourage them to approach the conflict with full of empathy and understanding, fostering a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. We had to also create a working agreement when it comes to the communication styles, right? We should not be making use of any kind of disrespectful or disrespectful or maybe derogatory remarks into any kind of communication. And we finally reached a resolution. I clarified with each team member's opinions, and then ensuring that everyone was aligned and communicated to implement the agreed upon solution. And finally, I followed up with the team members individually also to ensure that the conflict resolution was successful, and we will continue with the ongoing support and guidance as needed. So that kind of an working agreement we had in place. And then I had to literally emphasize the importance of maintaining open communication and addressing any concerns and issues proactively. So I think by taking this approach, I was able to resolve the conflict within my team and achieve a positive outcome. The team members were able to put aside their differences, and this experience reinforced the importance of effective communication, collaboration, coordination, and conflict resolution skills in leadership, which highlighted the value of fostering a positive and supportive team environment team environment for me. So yeah, there are so many other stories, but I think this was like one of the most challenging stories I could remember, because the way the communication was happening in between those two team members was like really surprising. They are no more school going kids, they are grown up adults, but still they were making use of such language. So it was a challenging thing, but somehow I managed to resolve it, and I gave my best effort to resolve it. And then after that, those two team members also understood that, okay, this is not the way to do the things. Maybe we need to act as a team, and then we need to come on to the same page for the benefit of each other. Yeah.
Wonderful, Raj, for that. Okay.
Mhm. Thanks.
So now I'm going to ask you most difficult and maybe
Okay.
a little controversial question as well.
Okay.
So there is a lot of politics involved at leadership level. So building a support for any of the ideas, or let's say if you have some specific goals, right? When you lack that kind of formal authority, can be very challenging. So can you share an experience where you have successfully gained support from individuals who did not report to you directly? So what strategies did you use to achieve that kind of alignment and cooperation? Because we need that kind of support when we are working on some large initiative. So yeah, over to you, Raj.
So I can call out that dialogue from Tanu Ved's Manu Part 2, where he says that your question is a good question, but your question hurts me. Right? But one experience I think I can remember where I successfully managed to get the right kind and right level of support from individuals who didn't report to me, was getting myself involved, proposing a new timeline, new initiative. Basically, timeline again comes as a counterpart to that, aimed at improving a cross organizational unit collaboration within the organization. So I never had a formal authority over individuals from the other org units. So we were working with marketing teams, sales teams, operation teams, supply chain management teams. Being a part of engineering org unit, I could have some kind of authority, but not with the other individuals from the other org units. So that was the first time where I recognized the importance of building support and alignment across the teams to achieve our common goals. Because at the end of the day, it's one organization, even though it has been split into multiple organization units. So to achieve the alignment and cooperation, I had to employ several strategies, and I can definitely throw light upon a few of them. What I remember is I began by identifying the key stakeholders from the other org units who would be impacted by the proposed initiative, especially considering the timeline perspective, because uh, again, it was a high pressure situation and they had to get something done within, I think, next couple of quarters. So this particular stakeholder engagement initiative included individuals who held influential positions or had a vested interest in the success of the overall initiative and the timelines. So initially, I took the time to build the relationships, and establishing trust was the most important thing for me, establishing the trust with the key stakeholders. So I reached out to them individually to discuss the proposed initiative, to discuss the proposed timelines, and I listened to their perspectives. I understood their concerns, I understood their priorities. So then it became easy for me to clearly communicate the benefits and potential impact of those initiative specific things, emphasizing upon how it aligns with our or unit specific delivery, right? And how it also aligns with the organization's strategic objectives, and it could lead to mutual benefits for all the stakeholders who are involved in there. So I had to tailor my messaging to resonate with their interests and priorities. Again, it was highly political environment, so I had to actively sort out the inputs and collaboration from the key stakeholders in shaping up the initiative. I encourage them to provide active feedback, share your ideas, share your concerns, collaborate with us while we are developing on this particular initiative, which is a combined collaborative effort in between all of us. So throughout this process, I provided the regular updates and progress reports to the key stakeholders, demonstrating the value and results of the initiative. Wherever there were no direct reports from the other org units, I had friction, but the amount of trust which I could build in the first go with the senior leadership team members from the other org units, that really helped me. So I think certain times you need to know to whom you need to poke, to whom you need to bring into the discussion when the things are not moving. And there are two favorite quotes of mine where Nike, Adidas says everything is possible, and Nike says just do it. So if we simply follow these two statements, we can make things possible, and we just need to do it. So I think by employing these strategies, I was able to get the support and alignment from the individuals who didn't report to me. And I could successfully drive the implementation of the initiative. This experience highlighted the importance of building relationships, building that rapport, even outside of your org unit, communicating effectively with them, collaborating across the teams. And that also helps you to like establish some relationships within your organization where people start to know you, right? You're not only limited to your organization unit's scope, you can even go beyond that. So I think while collaborating across the teams to achieve the shared objectives within the organization, it was altogether a wonderful experience for me. And then, yeah, I hope you got the answer. It's a challenging
Wonderful.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wonderful. Absolutely, Raj. Okay,
thanks.
Raj. So I really don't want to end this session, but
Mhm.
we have, I think, covered all the questions for this session. But of course, we will have definitely have more sessions with you in future, and hopefully not the waiting time of 1 year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rituraj, for sharing your experience with all of us. Your knowledge has been very helpful. I thoroughly enjoyed this session, and I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot from this session. So, friends, before we finish, I want to remind our viewers to show your support by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and share this particular video to your, LinkedIn feed or to your different WhatsApp group. Yeah. So, yeah, with this, thank you, everyone. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and keep achieving great things. This is Sunan Sharma signing off, and thank you, Rituraj, one more time.
Thanks, Sunan. Thank you.